Hello and welcome to Share Talk. I am Bonnie Hughes. Our guest today is MetalNRG. They are an investing resource company that looks at precious and strategic metals. And here to tell us about the company is Chief Executive Officer Rolf Gerritsen. Hello, Rolf, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Bonnie. How are you?
Now, there's been a little bit of a wrench thrown into things with regard to Kyrgyzstan and your uranium project. Do you want to give us a bit of an overview about what's going on?
Yes, a bit of bad news, so I thought take the opportunity and talk about it and be open and honest about what's going on. There's definitely a lot of uncertainty, but the government in Kyrgyzstan banned or have proposed to ban the exploration and mining of uranium. The laws are being drafted as we speak, so we're waiting to see exactly what that will entail, because there is quite a bit of speculation around exactly what's going on, specifically around the cleanup operations, because there are a number of tailing operations that the Russians had left behind which are considered to be cleanup operations, and those in theory should be exceptions within the law. IMC, our partner in country, have always maintained and have received the mining license on the back of the fact that this is a cleanup operation in our case. And in fact, our operation would, once completed, give the land back in terms of, or give the land back to the community as agricultural land. So it's definitely a cleanup operation. So at the moment, we're waiting to see a little bit where we stand, and we're anticipating to receive some clarity on exactly what is going to be banned and what will be part of the exceptions.
Is the reason for the uranium ban put by the government because of all of these projects that need reclamation?
There's a lot of speculation on the exact reason. What is for sure is that one particular company was extending the use of their exploration license a bit too far. That has generated a series of protests in country. The government has not been able to cope with these appropriately, and really that's what's pushed the ban. The idea is, from what I understand from our local partners, is to ban anything which is new in terms of exploration and exploitation of the uranium, but those cleanup projects, which are historic, they should be part of an exception and should be allowed to continue. Having said that, we're awaiting clarity, because at this particular point, we don't know that to be the case. So we're anticipating some clarity on this, hopefully very quickly.
And will this have some kind of effect on the fact that you were looking to have a standard list?
Yes, and what we've had to do is we had gone to market with a proposition. Clearly that proposition has now changed, and as a result we've had to step back and take stock of exactly where we are. While we're still committed to listing on the main market, we are just slowing the process down a little bit to make sure we get clarity on exactly where we stand with regard to the ban, because this was a core project that we were driving forward. Not being able to do so at this particular point in time changes that marketing proposition that we've made to investors, which means we have to go back to the drawing board and take stock where we are and then move forward. The intention is still at a overall level to drive in that same direction, but instead of maybe doing it next month, it might take a little bit longer.
So the strategy is to sort of sit back, see what happens when the government comes out with a plan, and that's on your uranium project. But what's sort of the plan for your other projects?
There are a number of aspects. You're absolutely right with regard to the Kyrgyzstan project. It's a bit step back, wait and see, get some clarity on the situation, and then make a further decisions. We have no further economic commitments to our partners until we have absolute clarity, and that's the moment when we'll be able to go back and decide exactly how we move forward. We then have a very interesting earn-in project with Mecango that we signed, which is an initial agreement, and we are ongoing with our due diligence. That's a very exciting project. We're looking at completing that due diligence and entering into a full agreement which stipulates the earn-in of a very interesting uranium project, which is early stage, but with proven mineralization. And the idea is to drive that forward once they have renewed their mining license. We also have a very interesting gold project in Arizona. Again, that is pretty much ready to go in terms of developing it further and driving that forward in terms of adding value to that particular project, and we're going to be waiting for funding. At the same time, we are looking at a number of additional projects in the natural resources space that we might be able to add on that will make this a very interesting proposition. I think if you look at where we are today versus the last time we met, which was about a year ago, our share price was probably at around 0.8. We're currently at 0.03. So I would say the value is definitely on the upside. There are more projects than we had 12 months ago in our portfolio. There is some uncertainty, no question about that with regard to IMC, but overall I think the story is very positive, and we keep on looking at other projects that we might be able to add on to the proposition overall.
And is there anything in the near term with regard to other projects that you may be able to bring on board? There
are a few things we're looking at. I'm not at liberty to speak about those at this particular point in time, but I would anticipate something coming up quite soon.
And do you have a country focus, or is it globally that you look at things?
I think from my perspective, I'm looking very closely at jurisdictions. I like certain jurisdictions more than others, especially due to the fact what's just happened and occurred in Kyrgyzstan. And therefore, while I'm open to a number of jurisdictions, I am very selective and careful.
Yes, this seems to be a common theme amongst most
Yes.
resource companies these days, with all of the things that have been going on a political basis.
Absolutely.
And is there any specific metal, or are you sort of open to most metals?
We're looking at a number of opportunities. I can't go further at this particular point in time.
Yes, exactly. And so for you to fund your further commitment to your project in Makango, do you have the means to do that at this point, or?
We will definitely be going to market, and we will be seeking to reinstate the book that we had developed and that we've had to pull back on based on the information that's come out of IMC. So we'll have to go back to market, cap in hand.
Well, I mean, based on your market cap and share price, it almost seems like your project in Kyrgyzstan wasn't getting any value at the moment anyways in the market, which has been very typical for most mining companies, have been sort of underperforming because the sector hasn't been that great. So,
right.
It probably wasn't included in the valuation, but I'm speculating on that.
But I think you might be right. I think most of the projects that we have are not being valued, because if we look at where we are, it's a very low value in terms of where we are. But anyone in my position would say that. I think we have to be realistic and accept what the market is saying and try to address that by adding value not only to the projects that we have, but also by looking at other ones that we're currently evaluating. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up from where we are, and I would hope this to be a low point that we can move forward from.
Yes, well, starting from the bottom, moving up. And did the Kyrgyzstan government give you a timeline of when they expect to sort of finalize their decisions?
No, they haven't given us a timeline. There is an ongoing process that they need to go through. The government has asked for the laws to be drafted. Those are being drafted. There will be further discussions, and those laws will be passed within their time frame. And we look forward to the moment that actually occurs. At the same time, what we are also doing is looking at the ramifications of not being granted the exception. And we're taking advice on that as well with our local partners.
Well, that would make a lot of sense. And in the meantime, you have some news coming out on your other projects?
Well, at the moment, the focus is going to be on repackaging in some way, or looking at how best to package up the relisting of the company, which means that we need to look at the current projects that we have and also what add-ons we can bring into that, and then look at the whole marketing proposition. In terms of key news flow, there's definitely news flow going to be coming out of where we go and how we progress with Macango. We also own roughly 6% in Cobra Resources, and there's quite a bit of excitement on Cobra Resources because they are or were previously listed on the London main market, have been suspended as a result of the acquisition that they made of Lady Alice. Lady Alice being two projects, a gold project and a copper project in Australia, and they are currently in the process of relisting and going through an RTO process. So there's exciting news coming out of that, and as I said, we own, as MetalNRG, 6% of Cobra Resources.
Well, Rolf, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully the next time you come to see us, you will have some very good news to share with investors.
Look forward to that, Bonnie. Thank you for your time.
And thank you very much for joining us on Share Talk.